You are listening to an entertainment program put together by a company called Financial Ineptitude. Anything said on this show is not an endorsement or professional advice. Would you really want to tell a court of law you were suing us because you thought taking financial advice from two idiots on a podcast put out by Financial Ineptitude was a good idea? Really? Clown hat smiley face.
Well, hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to the China Shop. You've made it to another thrilling interview episode. I'm Shopkeeper Dan. With me, as always, is Kyle, creator of financialineptitude.com. How are you doing today, Kyle?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
All right. Fantastic. Good fun day in the markets today. Big rip on the SPY. Can't complain.
Love it when it's green, right?
Everything going up but the stocks that I'm in.
It's funny that the markets are going up, but yet I'm trying to play puts.
Yeah, right.
All day I was looking for a good put entry.
Yeah, no, another one of those days. Well, folks, sit back, get excited. We are once again joined in the shop by the wonderful Anthony Fatseas from What the Finance. How you doing, Anthony?
I'm very well, thank you. Kyle, were you laughing there?
Yeah.
When Dan said wonderful, is that?
Dan, no, it was because Dan got a little tongue twisted when he tried to say.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I'm like, oh.
I think he said we're enjoined with you.
We're enjoined with you.
Okay, no problem.
So, yeah, that's probably going to have to stay now.
Yeah, exactly. We're just joined as one. I'll tell you, said thrilling interview as well.
What the finance bulls?
No, I don't know how we can do it. I'm sure the listeners will love listening, hearing us try and combine the words for 40 minutes.
It's a thrilling episode. As we understand, Anthony, you just stopped a terrorist attack. Walk us through.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think what were you talking about on the other? I grew into a giant, and then what were you talking about on your last episode? And I stopped some ninjas or something. I think. I was meant to write this down and then say that as my answer. But no.
You weren't turning into a velociraptor, were you? You're not a priest by day.
How did you know?
We just saw your documentary.
True. Oh yeah, fighting ninjas. Yeah, exactly. You gotta. My biopic. Yeah, thanks guys. I'm glad you enjoyed.
Well, we should probably actually talk about something pertinent to. I don't know. Actually, this is kind of fun. So, what have you been up to since we last chatted? I think last time we had you on was the end of the year special.
Yeah, definitely. So I've been similar to you guys, been interviewing lots of interesting people, and I think it's probably been more interesting as well, just because of what's been happening in the world. Obviously, some good things, some bad things, but it just makes the markets do things, which is what we want to happen. You know, when it moves. That's a very eloquent way of saying it. Do things.
Are you actively trading too, or are you still too busy with school?
So no, not as much. I do look a little bit at foreign exchange now and again, sort of analyzing the macroeconomic trends of it all. And I'm slowly getting to that point where I'm analyzing stocks. I'm looking at companies, probably more looking for the long-term investment route. So analyzing some potential opportunities there. But yes, I not as don't do it as often as you guys.
Not daily.
No, not daily.
Well, we also aren't gainfully employed anymore, so
taking the plunge full time into it.
Yeah, because I wasn't doing any work. I was just staring at stock charts all day long.
Yeah, exactly. That's my life at the moment as well.
I got fired for shorting my steel mill.
Oh yeah,
at work.
Short sellers are the devil. Haven't you heard?
Well, the company I was working for was part of that whole green cell collapse. I don't know if you were paying attention to that.
Oh yeah, wow. Ago. What were they?
Liberty Steel.
Were they owned by the guy?
Gupta? Yep.
He's a dodgy individual, that bloke.
I know. I haven't been following it as much. I need to go check up on that and see if anything new came out.
Yeah, I think he's found a way to get out of it, I think. It looks like, I don't know.
Yeah, he moved to Dubai last I saw. It was because it was centrally located for a good place to manage all his different assets. No, I think you're doing that because you don't want to get served papers from Britain, Europe.
Yeah. And like just the structure of how the company was like, it wasn't like a conglomerate. They were all individually run companies. So even though you own this whole massive, I think it was hundreds of plants all across the world. They weren't actually a conglomerate. So that made it even harder for...
Well, the whole thing that was crazy about it too is the way they were doing their financing. Like they're basically like taking the invoices of anything they bought, like not even like the actual invoices that were already out, but even future invoices.
Yeah.
And getting loans secured against those in order to go buy more shit.
And making it up.
Kyle, it's not fraud if you actually believe the fake invoices. It's not criminal.
Exactly.
If you really
Are you allowed to be
believe it.
talking about this, Kyle?
They didn't give me any severance or anything. So yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I didn't sign any NDAs. We've talked about it a few different times, but yeah, the craziest thing they were doing was they'd sit down with the person at either Credit Suisse or Greensill, and then they would say like, "Oh, who do you think you could sell steel to?" And they'd name off some people. Like, if you could sell to them, then how much would you sell to them? And they name a number, and they'd be like, "Okay, what's the value of that?" And they'd say, "Okay, well, here's a loan for those future prospective invoices. You just pay us back when you secure those deals."
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, when Greensill collapsed and Credit Suisse started like going out trying to collect these, invoices that had all these loans against them, started talking to these people of companies that never even heard of Liberty Steel. Like, who the fuck is that?
Well, Credit Suisse seems to be, they're in all these like crazy securitizations. Like, I don't know if you heard, they're also in like Russian oligarch yachts. They were like loading to these Russian oligarchs and then securitizing them and selling them to other investors. And like, so they just seem to have done, yeah, it's really bad. Like, similar to Greensill as well. Like, these people, like, so say they have like a wealth management department. These people were investing with them. And I'm sure they didn't know that they were investing in these very speculative potential future orders of a random steel company. It's not a good look, unfortunately.
I want to hear more about the Russian oligarch yachts.
Oh yeah, and have you seen that they've all started to be sort of like taken off them? They've like been impounded by all the European countries.
I have been seeing that.
Yeah, it's a crazy time with Russia, and I think it'll be interesting. Like, we're talking about there about commodities. It'll be interesting to see how that all of this impacts commodities going into the future more than what we've seen at the moment.
You think it's going to affect more than just the oil and grain markets?
I think it will, because if you look at obviously Russia, it's just a massive country in it. I think there's something I saw. It has 13% of all commodities in the world or something, because it just has so much. It has palladium, it has obviously wheat, it has nickel, it has oil, gas, etc. So it has all this, just so much raw material, and there's so much demand from Europe in particular, because obviously geography. So yeah, I think a lot of those products aren't under sanction at the moment, especially, obviously gas and oil, because it makes up sort of 30, I think oil makes up 30% of, Russian oil makes up 30% of sort of Europe's demand, and then Russian gas is close to 40. So, they can't cut it off, but there's concerns that potentially next year.
Not till summertime.
Yeah, exactly. But then as well, a lot of the time they actually have to, so they store up the gas for winter. So if there's any disruptions in that, obviously there's a massive pipeline going through Ukraine. So if that gets damaged, or if Russia turns off the taps, then it's going to look pretty bad.
Well, didn't Germany already basically like nix a project that they were working on with Ukraine?
Yeah, so they're working with I think it was actually with Russia directly, and it was a way, because at the moment, because it's going through Ukraine, this pipeline, Russia has to pay Ukraine like quite high sort of expenses for that. So they're actually trying to create another pipeline that went through the Baltic Sea basically. So it avoided Ukraine. So yeah, they didn't have to pay anyone. It went directly to Germany, but that's been cancelled now. That was that Nord Stream 2 massive controversy with Trump as well. Yeah. So yeah, but there's, Germany, they have basically been shutting down all their nuclear power plants recently, been trying to go renewable, but 60% of all their electricity is from Russian gas, or 60% of their gas is from Russia. So yeah, they've talked about if they can't actually turn it off, because if they did, they would, it'd be a massive recession. They wouldn't be able to do anything.
Well, that would fuck Russia over just as bad too, you think, because that's like a major piece of their economy.
Yeah, it definitely would. But then I guess I think us Western countries we don't like paying too much, unfortunately. So
no.
Yeah, a lot of time we do what we can, but I don't think German people would put up with that, unfortunately.
I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's happening here in America, but it seems like Biden is more concerned with making sure that people aren't paying too much at the pumps rather than the plight of what's going on anywhere else.
Oh, yeah, he was trying to talk with Venezuela and and Iran and all these other countries that are a lot better than Russia. I don't know. Yeah. What are your opinions on, I don't know if you talk political here, but what are your opinions on the midterms?
We try to stay away from politics.
Okay, it's probably a good idea, especially in the US.
The main thing that I want as far as U.S. politics is I want them to hurry up and legalize marijuana before they lose control. Democrats lose control of the Senate and the House.
Yeah, they seem to be putting that on the back. I thought it'd be one of the first things they'd bring in.
I would have thought so, but no, maybe they're using that as like their hope.
Yeah, like
to try to get
2023.
Well, can't let Republicans win, otherwise we won't get our free weed.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, but
Whoa, free weed? What?
I assume we're gonna get free weed, right? That's how
free
you get
everything.
the votes.
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I just heard free weed.
Send us those messages, 2bullsinachinashop.com.
Yeah.
Is that our new giveaways?
Yeah. Free weed.
Can I just message you in the Discord chat? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, right.
I don't know if you'd be able to get it to the UK, unfortunately.
What's the laws over there in the UK?
No.
The law is no.
I think you get 3 warnings, then you go to jail or something. But yeah, it's not legal per se.
Oh, good. You still got 3 strikes and you're out. Yeah, that worked great in America.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as America. It's not as strict as that. But yeah, they're all about CBD and CBD oil and all these things, but it's not the actual thing isn't legalized.
Yeah, I've been seeing you've been getting some really good guests lately, and I think we've been seeing a little bit of crossover. We must be dealing with the same scheduling groups or podcast bookers, because I see you talked to James Pollock. We talked to him. We've got Harold Vanderlyn next week that we're talking to. How was that interview? Yeah,
it's really interesting. Have you guys had a chance to look at his book?
I have the copy of it. I got to start it this weekend.
Just started yesterday.
I think it's probably the best sort of book I've read about. It's just looking at the different cultures of each country and then like how you invest in them, because I think for a lot of times we take for granted, like obviously the US is and the UK are quite similar in their own ways, and Europe's quite similar as well, but each Asian country has their own unique culture behind sort of just the industries, investing and everything to do with that. So I found that really interesting. I learned a lot from the interview as well, but the book, it just sort of looks into a lot of these economies, and there's a few countries I haven't even thought about investing in, like Indonesia. Which is, I think, has the fifth largest population in the world. In the next, I think it's 10, 20 years, it's probably going to be one of the top 5 economies in the world. It has crazy amounts of natural resources. So, and that's an economy that doesn't really have much exposure to China.
Right.
Because I think sometimes we think, emerging markets, Asia, China, but there's these other massive economies in that area that are very investable.
I know one of the ones I'm looking forward to talking to him about is actually Vietnam.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been reading a lot about how they're kind of going the route, like comparing to like Japan and right after World War II, like trying to just totally modernize themselves.
Yeah, they're interesting because they're obviously, I guess you could just say similar to China, they're a communist country. But yeah, as you said, they are trying to, it's basically mass industrialization and mass, a lot of the rural workers are moving to the cities to start working. And if we look at Trump, and the trade war in 2018, that led a lot of the companies that normally manufactured in China, a lot of them actually moved to Asia, so moved to Vietnam. So I think Samsung's they have their largest factory in Vietnam, and there's all these other companies that have moved to Vietnam for manufacturing, and obviously that helps build up the economy, and at the same time as the economy grows, standard of living grows for people, there's opportunities available actually in the services industry as well. So you could say healthcare, just technology, all these different industries in Vietnam. There's amazing opportunities. And I think I was looking at a company. It was just a construction company as well. And because you think about it, like there's, as you said, it's basically massive building. What they're doing, they're trying to
Yeah, those are the companies that you got to start with, right? You got to lay out all that infrastructure first. What was the company?
Oh, it's let's see if I can find it. It's a really interesting place to invest in. Now you have to be careful, because were you looking at like individual companies, or were you looking at like an index?
I haven't looked at it. I've just been reading more about the economy, is like more broad strokes, nothing specific yet.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can remember it. Sorry, it was probably like 2 years ago. So I've deleted it from now. But but I think the issue is though, because the infrastructure isn't built very well. So if you actually want to invest in Vietnam, you have to open an account, a brokerage account in Vietnam.
Okay.
So there's not actually any other opportunities available. So you have to open a bank account in Vietnam and then open a brokerage and then transact money. And I think there's like a 3-day settlement as well. So obviously you buy a share, it takes 3 days to process. So it's really like, I talked to someone who was actually he's like a CIO of a massive company there, and he the stock market's only been around since like 2003, 2004, so it's still really developing. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting opportunity.
That's funny. Yeah, that makes you wonder. Like, a lot of emerging stuff, but also there's a lot of rules that haven't been written yet because they haven't figured out all the ways that people are going to screw you out of money.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't even think it's probably not even an emerging market. I think they call it frontier market because it's not even, which is crazy. So I guess once it goes from frontier to emerging, then a lot more institutional investors will actually be able to invest there. So that could see a massive boost in the economy. Yeah, it's interesting. I think Harold was talking about Bangladesh as well as another really interesting opportunity.
Really?
Yeah, in Asia. Yeah, and it's like these countries that you don't even think about investing in. But he's saying it's sort of a similar play to Vietnam as well. It's just, massive industrialization. There's going to be many opportunities for companies to, take advantage of.
There's just so many people in Asia, especially Southeast Asia.
Yeah, and the demographics as well. A lot of them are really young. So I think in Vietnam, I think it's like over half the population is like under 25 or something, and similar to Bangladesh.
Really?
Yeah, whereas you compare it, and I think, there's other countries in Africa as well, like Nigeria, and these are all the countries that are really going to benefit from over the next 20 or 30 years, compared to obviously the US, UK, Australia, even China. Japan's already there, where it's extremely, it has a high... top heavy, as you said.
Yeah.
Like
too many boomers.
Yeah, exactly. It's fucking boomers. Shorting Tesla.
Right.
How dare they? But yeah, it's going to make so many opportunities for these countries, because at the end of the day, where's the demand going to come from? It's going to come from these, countries that have potentially developed, and then from there they're spending more because they want to live a higher standard. They want a higher standard of living. So I think it's a really interesting time. But yeah, so that's I really enjoyed the chat with Harold.
You've had some pretty good guests. I'm looking at one of the ones that really stuck out. I hadn't had a chance to listen to it yet, but it was the guy you talked to about Alibaba, Tai Chi Kang.
Yeah. It was super interesting.
Well, what made that stick out is because when that initially popped up on my YouTube search algorithm, I think it was when Alibaba's trading like $80 a share.
Yeah.
And here's this guy hawking, Chinese stocks, and they got the threat of delisting and everything else. And then something happened recently that seems to have caused a bit of a turnaround on most of the Chinese names. I think even NEO's up quite a bit right now. Yeah. I was just curious what his case was.
Yeah, to be fair, we did the interview a few months ago, and it was a bit higher then. So maybe it has dropped a little bit. I think he's a bit of an evangelist. So similar to people who love Tesla, and as you said, NEO and a few other countries, he just really loves the company. But I think recently the Chinese government basically said that we're going to do what we can to not destroy these companies by regulating them to hell, and we're going to try and, as they've done, and we're going to try and increase transparency. So I think a lot of the issue with Chinese companies listed in the US is that the accounting regulations and the transparency involved, and I'm not sure if a lot of it has been actually up to the standards of the SEC and what the US wants. And I think that's only going to get going to have a higher standard. I think the SEC sort of mentioned something this week where by 2024 people are going to have to talk about their environmental goals and stuff like that. Yeah, I don't know if you heard that, but
I did see something pop up on that.
So it sounds very very SEC, like they should be worrying about that stuff. But
I know, right?
Yeah. But that was really I think that's why we've seen the massive pop, because obviously there's just been it's almost, they call it the Chinese discount, because there's the risk that the government just says no, we're not happy with what's happening.
I mean, what actually happens too if the stock gets delisted from U.S. exchanges? Like, say I bought a bunch of call options on Alibaba, and then the next day it's delisted. What do I do with my positions? Am I just stuck?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think they're just I don't know, because we've seen that exchanges can sort of like they can play by their own rules, can't they? So I'm guessing they just closed it out. Did you guys see the London Metal Exchange? What happened there? LME.
Nickel? Dan was talking about that.
It's shut down. Yeah,
literally, because it was almost like a short squeeze. Well, these people had massive shorts on this. I think it was a Chinese investor, and then the people who were facilitating that shorts had to like, oh shit, this is going against him. We have to cover our positions. So obviously they had to long, and then that further pushed the price up.
Right.
So it literally got to the point where I think it went from 10,000 to 100,000 In a few days. And then I think on the Monday a few weeks ago, it went up over 200% or something in a day. And what they did is they literally shut down the trading of nickel, and then they reversed all those trades that had occurred on that day. So basically, you could have made millions of dollars. Yeah, you could have made millions of dollars or lost millions of dollars. And they're like, no, we're just going to reverse it and go back to what it was on that day.
Oh, man. How many lawsuits are there going to be on this?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Well, I really dislike that because literally, like, if you think about it, this could happen to anyone. It's happened to you guys.
I know.
Yeah. Look, they saved their game. They reloaded it before the crash happened. No problem. Everybody understands that.
Exactly. Know, right? See, we're literally living in virtual reality, aren't we? It seems like it in a simulation, right? Yeah. Do you think this is a good simulation or bad simulation? What do you reckon?
I'll tell you when I see the next one.
Yeah, exactly. If only we could do that. Imagine that. Like, I've lost a trade. Now let's just rewind.
Oh man, maybe that could be our next project. Start our own exchange with a save function.
Exactly. No, if you start your own exchange, you can just front run all the trades, and then you can get them at a better price. Yeah, exactly.
There's something else that popped up. My wife pointed out to me. I don't know if you've heard this. Is there a rule in China that says that any equity can't rise more than 10% in a day?
I'm not too sure about that. China is really interesting because it's sort of separated up into almost different markets. So Hong Kong is like its own sort of regulatory entity, and then there's mainland China, which has its own regulations. So sort of Hong Kong's a bit more lenient. So potentially in mainland China, that might be an issue. But
okay, yeah, I didn't realize they split up like that. Well, because Hong Kong used to be British owned up until the 90s.
Yeah, definitely. So, and I think that's why it sort of remained separate, and that's why people probably were more willing to invest in Hong Kong because it did have that, I guess, democratic way of doing things. But that's changed a bit recently.
Why do communist governments and dictatorships always say that they're republics?
Yeah, I know. It's like, right. Please believe us.
The Democratic Republic of Congo.
We're very democratic.
I don't think you're any of those things. Right?
Take that, Congo.
Just make the name.
What do you have against Congo? God.
Yeah.
Just the murder.
Yeah, exactly. Those diamonds. Yeah. Is that it? No.
Can you slander a country? I don't think those rules are the same, are they?
I'm not sure. You get like a comment to be like, how dare you? I'm from the Congo. I am coming for you.
Right.
On my vendetta list. But another interesting one was, who else did I talk to? Christopher Leonard. That was really interesting. It was actually like how the Federal Reserve broke the American economy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called the Lords of Easy Money. And it's just talking about, similar thing. If we could just print as much money off as we like, that'd be great. But it sort of looks at a steel company, probably similar to yours, and how they basically leveraged it to these sort of venture capital, private equity companies came in, leveraged it to hell, and then it just shut down. So they basically financially maneuvered a way that they made lots of money, but it destroyed the business for many of the employees.
Is that ArcelorMittal or Gerdau? One of those two?
I'm not too sure. I could get at that probably. But yeah, and it was talking about how Jay Powell was actually the head of the PE company that did that.
Really?
Yeah, and he was the head of that project, and he was involved in it. And I think it maybe collapsed after he'd already left. But it's really interesting looking into it and sort of analyzing, how it obviously talks a lot about quantitative easing, how it came along, how it was sort of promised as this thing that would save everyone and save the world, and it would get lots of people into jobs and all this stuff. But it really hasn't delivered any of that. And it's just basically been beneficial for us jokers who spend lots of time looking at markets, as well as obviously big institutions. And
we're not capitalized enough to be able to really take advantage of it, unfortunately.
I know.
The bigger problem with it is just how it keeps kicking the can down the road. I mean, it served its purpose back in 2008. It really didn't need to keep continuing for another, what's it been now, 14 years?
Yeah, and that's really the issue. So I think there was this thing where in obviously 2008 it occurred, and all the Fed chairs agreed with it, but then I think they did it again in 2011 when the economy was just starting to recover, and there was this one guy, I can't remember his name, but he was one of the Fed sort of on the Fed chairs, and he disagreed with it because he's like, well, the economy's recovering. Why would we print all this other money just for it to go to these big institutions? But obviously he wasn't listened to, and we're where we are now. And as you said, like we've seen that recently where the Fed are putting up interest rates, but I don't know about you guys. I don't think they can put it up too much without there being a massive economic shock.
No, they did the bare minimum, I think, this last one. We'll see what happens the next meeting that they have. But what are we factoring in now? 7 rate hikes, I think, is what's expected for the year now?
I think they say that, but how, do you think that's possible?
I mean, yeah. With the way inflation's going these days, like, they got to do something, right?
Yeah, definitely. But I guess you could say that the economy is so over leveraged, it's going to put up the price of how much everyone's going to pay for a lot of this debt. So,
yeah,
I think I saw if I can't remember if it goes to 5%, then just the interest rates on the US government debt is just ridiculously high.
Really?
So that's a real concern that if it continues to go up, obviously the US has been able to continue to loan money because interest rates are so low, but they're going to have to pay all this debt off somehow. And a lot of the time they just roll it over by, producing more debt. But if they do that when interest rates are really high, it's going to be extremely expensive.
Right.
And that's going to become a massive burden on the actual economy and what the country can spend it on. So, as you said, it's literally just kicking the bucket down the road. But
when was the last time the U.S. budget was actually balanced? Was that Bill Clinton?
I think so.
Oh, there was a surplus, in the 90s.
I think that was the last one. He also wrecked the military at the time too, but
yeah,
I guess one or the other. Strong military and no money.
Has any democratically elected leader been able to do more than one good thing? Maybe 2?
Yeah, I guess that's the US system, isn't it? Because obviously normally they'll lose the Senate or the House halfway through.
It's like our system of government is like set up to stop anything from actually happening.
Yeah, it does a good job at it, though. You got to admit.
Well, and you're constantly pivoting and changing directions every 4 to 8 years, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Run this way. No, turn around. This guy won now. Undo everything he did.
Right.
Now do this.
Are you saying that we should go the Chinese way?
No.
This podcast is communist.
We did ask, who was, I think it was when we were talking to James Falk. We were asking him about what happened to Jack Ma.
Yeah.
What did he say about that? That'd be funny.
I don't remember. He didn't think anything nefarious happened.
That's funny. He's pretty straight shooting person as well.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty, on the one hand, you lose, $7 billion deal. You probably don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
You're also already a billionaire. So, I mean, like, how much could it really hurt?
Well, I think they tapped him on the shoulder and it's like, you're not bigger than us.
I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. Take a step back, son. You'll find out what happens. Unfortunately. Yeah, exactly. Don't we all have these conversations?
Yeah, James is very apologetic.
I will say this. Those Chinese regulators, they have teeth over there. They have teeth.
Yes, that is a good point.
Yeah.
If the SEC says stop doing that, most people are like, whatever. Here's your fine money. Go away.
Take some money. Go away.
I'm gonna make another tweet if I'm Elon.
Yeah.
Elon.
The long AMC.
Shut up, SEC. I'm telling my brother to sell this before I make this tweet.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a bit targeted. Do you think it seems a bit like he's worth 200 billion? Do you think he's really going to do this for like 10 million or something? Like
Elon?
I don't know. Yeah, it's like I think they're just targeting him like crazy just because he's Elon.
Well, I mean, his brother is pretty uncanny. I mean, I think Dan went through and like looked at like his trading record and like how well he managed to do things right before big drops.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He was like kind of the luckiest trader in the world, is what it looked like.
Yeah.
Elon probably doesn't give a shit.
Yeah, probably.
I really think Elon used that poll as just to justify a reason for taking money out of his stock without causing everyone to panic, seeing that he was selling.
Yeah, probably. Selling 10% of his, 30 billion, close to 30 billion.
Twitter told me to do it. I'll go ahead and sell at the top. It's not because the stock is overvalued. Did he ever solve world hunger? I was still waiting to see if that's no longer a problem.
Did you see what they said though? It's like it's like, oh, if he sold this much, like 6 billion, then we could solve world hunger. Yeah, and they ended up backtracking it to like, oh, for 3 months.
Yeah,
we could solve world hunger for 3 months or something.
Well, they initially made it sound like he'd solve it forever. Like, okay, here's 6 billion.
It's too beneficial for them. I think they get paid off it. So
well, yeah, and if you actually solve world hunger, yeah, what are they going to do now? And if 6 billion was all it took to solve world hunger forever, like you don't think that? I mean, the U.S. gives out way more than that in foreign aid to random countries.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you familiar with the March of Dimes charity organization?
No.
It's an American organization that was...
I haven't heard of it. You told me about this.
It was founded to raise money to cure polio, and they found a cure for polio. So then they had to look at each other in the boardroom and go, now what do we do? And they changed it to, now we're going to raise money to fight birth defects. Because you can...
Yeah.
If you're like you said, if you're raising money for something and then the thing happens, that organization that was raising money now has no purpose.
Literally. And then what do they do with the money that's left? They can't take it out.
That's a good point. I didn't even think of that. They have to give it back?
Exactly. We're just spending $10,000 on this laptop and this stapler, and
I'll have to talk to my grandparents to see if they donated to them.
Yeah, exactly.
The March of Dimes.
Hey, did you ever take the March of Dimes? You might be able to get your money back.
You might be.
Ah, man. So what else has been going on with you, man? You got any other big projects coming up? Any good guests coming up that we should be on the watch out for?
Yeah, I've got a few really interesting ones. So I have one. So I'll get up the guest list just to make sure I don't screw it up in any way. So I have one, Mary Child. So I'm not sure if you've heard of her. She's from NPR. Yeah, so I think they do. Is it the Money? What's it? Money podcast on Yahoo. I think she's part of that.
Oh, really?
Money Talks, I think maybe, but yeah, she's releasing a book called The Bong King, and it's looking. Yeah, guess who it's about?
Dan?
No. How did you know? It's about Bill Gross.
Yeah. Oh.
So yeah. So he's like it's like how he made billions off bonds, and basically.
Bond. I thought you said bong.
Oh no. That would be a bit of a shift from my normal interviews.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah, it's like how he built an empire. So he basically built I think it's Invesco or one of those massive companies, and then he got kicked out of the company after making $1 billion. So he's talking about that, and there's like a really interesting story how he lived in this massive mansion somewhere on the West Coast, and apparently he has this statue up. It's like a 30-foot statue on the front of his garden. The neighbors complained about it, so he started getting damaged by birds, so he put a net up on it, and then the neighbors complained about it, and he hadn't done the correct regulation, so he decided to get these massive speakers and play loud music towards the neighbors nonstop. And this is a guy who's worth like $1 billion. Like and sorry, he's the founder of PIMCO. But yeah, so basically it just shows you what type of person he is, and he's sort of become a bit of a crazy.
PIMCO just in the news for something, Dan? I remember you bringing them up.
Oh yeah, I think they lost 18 million.
Yeah, PIMCO was heavily invested in Russian assets. Couple of the PIMCO funds.
Russia, that's right. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying he's going to Ukraine with some large speakers to blast at Russia and Belarus?
Yeah, definitely. Putin will be like, "Oh, for fuck's sake! Can't get any peace around here." But yeah, so that'll be a really interesting interview, and I've still got to read the book. But yeah, so that should be interesting. And then I've got another guest. I'm not I think you were saying that you're booked up until June. I'm not that organized.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, I have another one, Oliver Bollo, who's actually going to be talking about butler of the world, and it's a lot of the financial crime that's gone through London. So a lot of Russian oligarchs and Ukrainian oligarchs and Middle Eastern money and Chinese money that's sort of come through to the UK. And he's basically saying that the UK acts as a butler. It provides all the services required. It requires education for their kids. It requires the ability to all these structures and companies where you can basically hide your money. You can buy real estate without actually even showing your name through an offshore company. So there's just all these sort of loopholes that just attracts money, and it doesn't have to be good or bad. So that should be a really interesting conversation as well.
Is that why every crime movie I see that's based in the UK has to do with Russian oligarchs?
Literally, yeah. Right? Because they stole it, they got all their money out quick and took it to the UK. But yeah, so that's really interesting. So I'll be talking about that. And then, those are the main things that I'll be doing in the future, which is cool.
You also said you were getting ready to start a website, it sounded like, too.
Oh, yeah. So I'll be looking to do like a sort of educational website, just looking at all things investing, trading. I think I look more at the macroeconomic side of things, sort of what I'm interested in, and I guess more the big picture. So industries, what the future's going to be, how could you sort of invest in that way? Potentially looking at emerging markets, technology, but also trying to create a balanced portfolio. So I'll be creating a sort of educational platform, probably looking at enter Q3, start of Q4 to launch it. And I guess it'll start from complete beginners in finance and investing, and then going to the point where we'll be releasing research every week, looking at the markets, what's happening there. And then within, a year, hopefully try and get some guest educators on. So, Dan, Kyle, you're welcome on. I can't wait. The experts in trading.
Oh, boy.
That is so generous.
Yeah, exactly.
We will take you up on that. In about a year, I'll be out of money anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So, you want to get paid? What? No, I'm joking. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Doesn't take much. I'm cheap.
Yeah. That's what I like to hear. But
there's someone that we talked to recently you might like then who focuses more on the macroeconomic view. That was Jonathan Baird, I think his name was. He's the founder of the Global Investment Letter.
Oh, the Global Investment newsletter. Yeah.
Yeah. I can I'll forward you his contact information when we get done here too, because I think you'd really enjoy talking to him.
It's funny. I think I actually forwarded you his information.
Did you really?
Yeah. Maybe. But I think I've already interviewed. But I agree.
All right,
no, sorry, cut that out. Oh, yeah, that's a really good tip.
No, leave that. That's hilarious.
That's like? That's like when someone gives you a present and then you give it back to them.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, here you go. It's like, this is what I gave you like last year.
I thought you'd really enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pocket knife with my name on it.
There's somebody's book.
Yeah, exactly. No, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, I'll look through the other guests that I've had. I think there's a few that we've talked to that you might enjoy too. Yeah, definitely. Another person I'll mention quickly is his name's Rupert Russell. And it's funny, he talks about like chaotic markets and how commodity markets cause chaos. Oh. And we literally talked, he released the book like in January. We literally talked about it then. And then obviously past few weeks, it's basically proven what he said and how in, early 2010s, it led to the Arab Spring and a lot of the crises, in the Middle East and Syria and all that stuff was basically through commodity prices, wheat. If you look at issues in the US at the moment, the US border, Guatemala, a lot of it's due to coffee and, the price of coffee, which was very low at a time, I think. Yeah. And then they, obviously what happened as well is there was a few, massive rain, I guess you could link to climate change that rotted a lot of the coffee because a lot of the times they'd put it on their roofs to sort of dry out and then it got rotten. Like good riddance. Yeah. What? You don't like coffee? No, I'm more of a tea guy. Wow. The only person in the US who doesn't like coffee. I think I am.
I actually don't drink coffee either. I drink soda in the morning.
Soda.
So much better for you.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. It tastes better.
It does.
It does.
My thing with coffee is that I don't want anything that like the best it could possibly be is something that's been shit out by a ferret.
Yeah, but you're not drinking that. How else do you get energy in the morning? How else do you survive? That's the question.
I drink iced tea.
Yeah. Do you have like 10 a day?
No, I actually water it down quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm not an Earl Grey guy or anything crazy like
No.
that. I'm not squeezing lemon juice into mine. Was it
Yeah.
was it milk and lemon juice? Is that the proper Earl Grey?
Milk and lemon and honey sometimes, yeah. Well, I'm not, no one likes me in the office because I don't know how to make tea, so.
I make a really good pot of coffee because I had to learn in the military as the youngest guy on the submarine, the junior guy. Like that was your job, was to make good coffee.
Were you in a submarine?
Yep.
Wow.
Here's the recipe for coffee that made you angry. Was 3 heaping spoonfuls, a pinch of dip, some pencil shavings, and that was coffee that would really, it'd make you mad.
Yeah, I can imagine. Was that for the people you didn't
love
like? You gave them
No, they fucking love it.
That was everyone. Oh, they love that shit. I guess you use what you can get.
That was the best coffee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Coffee that makes you angry.
That's what happens when you have a monopoly. Can't go anywhere else.
Right.
See, we're explaining economics. We are talking about economics and finance and stuff, right?
I never thought of the submarine as its own little. Yeah, it is. People would buy cigarettes who didn't even smoke just to take with because you get $20 a pack when everybody ran out.
Right?
Yep, supply and demand.
Could you smoke on the submarine? No, you could just smell it.
Yep. Well, we had our own air recyclers, so
Okay.
we limit how many people could smoke. I'm not sure if they still can these days, but
Yeah, I'll pass on that. Thanks. I'm too tall. Or it probably doesn't matter these days, does it?
no. Well, there's no rule, but you'll definitely have a crick in your neck.
Yeah.
I remember one guy I worked with. He was 6'4", and his head was always canted to the side. He ended up wearing a baseball hat everywhere because you need the bill to protect yourself from low-hanging pipes and stuff. It gives you just a little bit of extra warning.
It's the same in the UK because obviously the houses are quite old sometimes. So there's these really small, and they're on angles. So when I first moved over, I just hit some sense into me quite a lot of times. We'll try to at least. Maybe you disagree, everyone, all the listeners.
Hit some sense in.
Yeah. That's well, I've decided to go into investing in finance and then, so maybe I did.
Yeah.
Had an epiphany.
While laying on the ground, blacked out.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck.
Fucking hell, what am I even doing?
Yeah, exactly.
I've had those moments on the submarine too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially when you hit it really hard.
No, just what am I doing?
Oh yeah, exactly. Literally floating in the middle of the ocean.
I remember walking up on one guy who was just staring up at the hatch. I think we were a couple hundred feet underwater at the time, and he was just sitting there staring. I was like, you okay, dude?
Does that freak you out? You're like, he's going to do it?
No, you can't. There's
okay.
No way to pop those things open like that. Plus, the pressure would hold it shut anyway.
Yeah, true. It's like when someone's on a plane.
Yeah, exactly.
They're like looking at the door and you're like, bro, you can't. Please don't do that.
We did have one guy one time try to take apart the shaft seals while we were underway, which is the water seal between the compartment and the ocean.
Whoa.
He was kind of a dumb guy.
Did he know what he was doing or no?
He thought he was doing a PM, but it was a PM that you can only do in port, obviously, or have to do something else to isolate this thing. But he goes up and finds the engine watch supervisor and asks him for this massive wrench. And he's like, oh yeah, here you go. Hands it to him. And 5 minutes later, he's like, what the fuck did he want that wrench for?
Yeah,
Goes back and finds him hammering away on these fucking bolts. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Jesus Christ.
I just think there's a lot of idiots in the world, so I don't want to be stuck in a
submarine.
Yeah, that's the downside of putting 20-year-olds in charge of a $4 billion piece of equipment.
What could go wrong? We've seen what they've done in the stock market,
and now we know what happened to the curse.
Degens. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it just shows you no matter what, young people are degens and they to learn the hard way.
Fucking young people.
Yeah, I know, right?
God, I was just watching a show where have you watched Upload?
No, I haven't.
On Amazon?
I just started it.
There's a scene in there. It's set in the future. There's a scene in there where somebody's messing around with the VR headset, and it's like, I can't figure out where my hands are. And the kid looks over. Fucking millennials. Yes, I can't wait. I can't wait for that moment.
Oh my God.
Yes, you will be old too, people.
Yeah. I love it when you see all the videos online where people like jump into things when they have the VR headset on. Have you seen that?
What? No.
They like jump into their TV because they forget where they are, or they jump into like a wall, and they're like, it's so fun. I don't know. I have obviously like when people hurt themselves, but yeah, it's great. Because I don't know, because it's like a horror thing, or they're like running away from something and they just run into a wall or into a
Have you tried one of those VRs yet?
No, that's sort of the next thing I want to do. Have you guys?
I had one. Dan got rid of his because Facebook got really stupid with their data collection. They force you now to sign in with your Facebook profile on them.
Oh yeah, and they can literally ban you, can't they? And then like get rid of all your games.
Well,
Yeah,
didn't somebody lose? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I did one at like a warehouse, which was pretty cool. So it was like a warehouse, and they set you up. Yeah, so like, and you could go like, it was like a FPS, but you could go up and down. Like it was really cool.
Yeah,
didn't run into any walls, which was good as well. You couldn't run. You could only walk. That was one bad thing. But yeah,
was that a rule or?
Yeah, for obvious reasons. So and you like, so you didn't smack into each other either.
Yeah, I imagine there's probably some lag.
Yeah.
Get that many people hooked together.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. But it's really cool. It's like laser skirmish or stuff, but like virtual. So it's really cool.
That's pretty awesome. It's like the new version of laser tag.
Yeah, exactly. So what companies are you guys watching?
I was going to say, I think we've pretty much talked about everything, haven't we?
I'm just that's the interviewer in me coming out, isn't it? Just asking you guys a question.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah,
I was saying, what companies are you guys watching?
Today, Bristol Myers Squibb has been on our radar. I think both of us liking that one.
Both of us have calls on Bristol Myers Squibb right now.
It just popped above a key resistance level around 69.80.
Oh, okay. And do you guys do weekly calls mainly?
I got these for June, just to give myself time, because these are longer moves. I mean, in fact, the gap I'm hoping it fills is all the way back in 2016.
Yeah.
Are you doing a boomer play?
Is it? I don't know. Maybe, I guess.
Bristol with inflation. Nah.
And it's very much at the 52-week high.
Yes.
Well, we have that's what I've noticed. Healthcare is really benefited recently, hasn't it? Through
it almost seems like it's inversely correlated right now, which is really weird. Like the last few days or few weeks, it seems like when the market's going as a whole is going down, those are going up, and vice versa.
Yeah, I think it's sort of one of the value stocks where it's one of those that can, I guess, absorb a lot of the cost pressures involved with inflation. So I think that's what I've heard. It's obviously the industrials, pharmaceuticals, these companies and others as well.
Another one I've been watching, it's a sector fund, but it's XLU. It's been kind of bouncing around in a real nice price channel, just waiting for it to come back down to the bottom end to pick up some, probably around like 66.
Yeah, so it's
trading about 71 right now. But if you look at if you map out all of the 12 funds for like the main sectors of the spider, XLU, and there's one other one that was like lagging severely behind all the rest for quite a while.
Yeah.
And obviously utilities is going to be something that people are going to want to pile into as a safe haven if, the worst happens or if recession starts, like everyone seems to be predicting.
Yeah, it's hard to know because, as you said, everyone's predicting it. So normally that's not when it happens, but...
Exactly, yeah. I think that's what happened with this last rate hike, as everybody thought that was going to be bearish, and then... surprise!
Well, it was almost like a slow motion car crash because the Fed have been talking about it for like a year or something. So they're like,
like I almost think everyone was happy that it wasn't worse. Like they weren't coming out with more. I guess I don't know. It's tough because they said a lot of bearish shit in that meeting when the comments came out. I mean, they talked about reducing reducing the
balance sheet.
Balance sheet, yes, thank you. I'm trying to remember the term for it.
Yeah.
Like that's really bearish. Like, not only have we stopped, putting stimmy into the markets, now we're going to start pulling it out, and we're hiking rates, and we're looking at another 6 to 7, and everyone's saying that they can start going more aggressive if they need to. Like the only thing that held them back this time was the, conflict in Russia, Ukraine.
But that's a crazy thing. And the last time they tried to do that, 2018, 2019, is when they had a massive issue with like the repo, and there was massive I don't know if you heard about that.
2018, when they tried to do it, then we also had Trump, who was able to tweet slap Powell into obedience again.
Yeah. But no, I don't know if you know, but there was like an issue with the repo as well. So normally it's like the overnight loans that banks have. Yeah. And it's like less than 1%, and it went up to upwards of 10% to loan this money. And a lot of hedge funds had this. It was sort of like, I think it was they'd roll over like Fed contracts, and that way they'd make like a small profit, and they said there was no chance that it would go against them. And basically the Fed had to jump in to lower the amount of interest they'd have to pay that these hedge funds had to pay. So they basically bailed out all these hedge funds who had over leveraged on this stupid trade.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, literally. So basically the Fed is basically they provide almost all the liquidity in the markets.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it. So them trying to reduce their $9 trillion balance sheet is not going to be too good, I don't think.
No.
If you think about it, $9 trillion, it's
bad news.
No, I'm waiting for if the SPY hits, I think new highs again this year. I think I might start loading up on some long dated puts.
Yeah, it's almost like what they call it, dead cat bounce or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the idea that even a cat will bounce.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always hear the saying that crashes happen from highs, right?
Mm.
So let's see. I mean, this rally has looked really suspect to me. Just the volume on it's just been kind of trash.
Yeah, you can see like the volume just going down and down, isn't it? Compared to start of 2022.
Yeah, I just, I don't know. I don't know that I buy this rally yet. What are you doing? You pulled all your money out yet?
Yeah, I actually
invest in Icelandic.
Yeah, Icelandic banks. I've actually Jared put me in touch with a few of the local bankers, and he's definitely in on all of it. So don't listen to anything he says. But no. Why do you think it's in Switzerland at the moment? No, I'm sorry. He'd probably hate me saying all that.
To the banking capital of the world.
Yeah, exactly. That's where he got escaped with all the money. But
I did ask him about the coincidence of him just moving to Iceland and then the collapse happening.
I know, right? He must have brought it from the USA.
Yeah. It's like, what did you do, Jared? What did you do? Is that how you're able to uncover everything?
No. Exactly. Oh, it's so crazy to think just how small that place. It's like I live in the place called Coventry in the middle of the UK, and Iceland's basically got the same population as there, like 300,000. It's just mental to think, like the size of it. But yeah, I guess I'm sort of looking, as I said, more long term. And I guess I can mention maybe a few UK companies that probably people don't look at as much. So one of them is called Acado. So it's like OCDDY ticker. And it's sort of like a food delivery service. They partner with a few companies in the UK. But the really cool thing is they actually do a lot of the fulfillment center demands of food companies.
Can you spell that again?
OCADO.
OCADO.
And I think the tickers, I think it's in the UK and US.
You snuck an R in there that threw me out.
Oh, did I? Sorry. For an accent. Yeah, so they do a lot of the fulfillment centers for food delivery around the world. And I think they've got a partnership with Kroger's to do a lot of their fulfillment centers and a lot of their food delivery. They've got like with the largest department store in Sweden, they're in France, they're in Spain, they're in Japan, they're in Australia. So basically what they're doing is they're creating this system where they're outsourcing it to all these companies. So they've got, I think at the moment they have like 10 sort of fulfillment centers that they run at the moment, and they've got contracts for 50. So they're going to be massive, I think, and just that potential to grow, and they're partner with many of these massive, companies that have massive market shares. And I also work for a food company called Waitrose in the UK, and I have seen how bad their system is and how horrible it all works. And like a lot of the issue is their margins are just negative at the moment. So there's there's multiple ways that people can do deliveries. Either someone can walk around with a trolley and pick employee can walk around with a trolley, pick it for them, and then they can deliver it, which has horrible margins. They can basically automate it completely for these big factories, and that doesn't work too well. Or they can have sort of small ones all throughout a region. And that's the one where the highest margins are. And basically, Acado's at the forefront of this. And it's crazy. There's these videos, and they literally, it's like a grid, and they call it the hive. And it's just these robots going around this area, picking grocery shopping, and then robots, put it all together, and then they're working to the point where robots will deliver it as well. So basically, they're going to have all this software and all this data, and they're going to be running it for most of the companies across the world. So,
have you already bought stock?
I haven't. So
I was going to say I'm looking at the chart right now.
It's pretty bad.
Really bearish. Yeah.
I'm thinking 25. The UK is an interesting place because they're pretty. They don't like tech, if you can believe it. They're very much about like old school.
Yeah.
They're very old school. Very much about sort of classic value investing. There's lots of oil companies, lots of banks, lots of pharmaceuticals that are AstraZeneca is obviously one of the biggest companies. BP, Shell, basically all these massive companies.
Fucked me over. That was marching up to my $36 price target before they'd cut ties with that large stake on that Russian oil.
Oh, yeah, they cut 30% of their oil or something.
God damn it. Finally turning around.
I know.
I'm looking at this. It's got, it's right at a support level right now, but.
Yeah, I'd say this is probably more long-term. As you said, it's a very bearish chart, but I was probably looking around 25 or 26 around there. It's like the 2020 low. If we get to there, I think it'll look really interesting.
I might have to check it out I'm looking at it on OCDO?
OTC. There's OTC. Oh, OCDDY.
OCDDY.
Yeah, I guess that's a challenge because there's obviously it's
okay, that's a much different. Okay. I was looking at it on the London Stock Exchange.
It's roughly the same chart.
Yeah, it looks pretty similar. You got kind of the same. Yeah, 25 looks like a really good.
Yeah, and that's probably more long-term, like technology play. And another one's it's a company called Wise, which is a pretty bearish chart as well. It's literally like straight down, like a shit coin. So it's pretty bad. It's WISE, and they basically were like the first company to reduce a lot of the transaction fees, like internationally.
Mm-hmm.
So I used them recently, and like I transferred from Australia to the UK, and I probably saved. So normally, it's obviously horrible sort of costs. There's high costs for normally with normal banks as well as horrible conversion rates, and they basically gave me exact conversion rates and had a small fee. So I probably transferred, let's say £1,000. I probably saved over £100. So basically 10% just from using this platform.
That sounds worth it.
Yeah, and they're profitable, so they're making money. They're sort of, I think they're mostly around the UK, but they're actually going into the business sector now. So basically, it's really easy to use. I can create an account in the US on this app, and then I can basically transfer between my accounts basically for free, and then I have US dollars. Or I can do the same from US to pounds, and I can do the same from pounds to Australian dollars. So it's great.
Looks like WIZEY is the over-the-counter for Wise PLC.
Make sure we have links to the charts in the description in case people want to check them out.
Definitely. And don't be mean to them. They'll do well. They're like the ugly child. They look, they don't look too good now, but 5-10 years time, just you wait.
I think you're more of a value investor anyway, right?
Yeah.
You look more at fundamentals and...
Yeah, a little bit. And I guess I'm probably more long-term at the moment. I am looking to get back. For my Forex, it was more like weekly trades rather than, this is probably more of a few years, but yeah. But yeah, that's been, and I've basically taken a break when all the crazy volatility has happened. So I've missed out on all the moves.
Oh, that's the fun part.
I know, exactly. But with the stock market and with
no stop is safe.
What's been? Didn't you get one of you guys have a really quick stop like straight away recently?
Yeah, not too. I mean, that happens quite a bit.
Oh yeah,
that describes both of us.
I actually widened out my stops for my futures trading and.
Yeah, exactly. Just everyone in general.
I had one on the SPY the other day that really hurt.
Yeah.
As I moved it to break even too fast and got taken out right before it took off. I'm like, fuck.
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
Did you break one of your rules or?
No,
okay.
Just,
that's all right then.
I lost faith in the trade anyway. Like I should have just scratched it, but it started to take off. Once it popped up above break even, I just figured it was basically the same thing as scratching.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, I think we've probably jabbed your ear off enough. Anthony, you probably got some shit you gotta get you to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Gotta go to bed. Okay. Old man value investor.
Okay, Boomer.
Yeah.
You want to tell the folks where they can find you?
Yeah, definitely. So basically on all platforms, What the Finance, which is like WTFinance, which I'm sure the lads will put down in the description.
Oh yeah.
And on Twitter, Anthony Fatseas, which that you probably have to put down there as well. But yeah, I don't know. I don't do that much exciting stuff on Twitter, but hoping to increase it soon.
No, I think you're bigger on YouTube, right?
Yeah, YouTube's the main one at the moment, and sort of podcasts as well. And I do actually have the website, which is
you do?
Yeah, it's sort of a bit shit at the moment, but sign up the email and then you can get notified when it becomes better.
Be sure to check out the Shit at the Moment website from Anthony Fatseas.
Exactly, it's like the ugly child. But sorry, I should stop saying that. But oh god, please, if you're my future employee, don't listen to this. But employer, sorry, but yeah, well, exactly,
or son,
or son, yeah. No way am I going to recommend you guys for him. No, I'm joking. Yeah, but it's whatthefinance.online.
What or WT Finance?
Sorry, yeah, WTfinance.online.
Okay, make sure I get that in there.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's where you can find me. So if you like any of my stuff, if you don't like it, then you can abuse me on there as well. All the comments help. Helps with the YouTube algorithm. Dislike if you like.
Any comments are good.
If you don't like it, you can send it to your enemies.
Yeah, exactly.
What does George say? If you like it, hit the like button. If you dislike it, hit the dislike button twice.
Yeah. To be honest, they probably would. They probably would. It's like your bloke on the submarine.
Oh god, Dad, take us home.
We've done a full loop here, haven't we? We've got so many random places.
I know, right? Pretty good.
And that brings us back to where we came.
To everyone.
Folks, thanks for joining us to the end of this fantastic interview. I told you it'd be a thrill ride. I know I've been thrilled. Anthony, we want to thank you again for joining us. We love having you here.
We laughed. We cried.
We laughed. Yeah, we cried. I grew a little bit inside. I'm more mature of a person now. Less dick and fart jokes for sure.
I died a little. I was the ugly child.
Didn't want to say it, but exactly.
Oh,
if there's three of you, it will be one of you.
Oh God!
I'm the one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So as you can tell, we're closing up shop. You gotta kick everybody out, but don't worry, we'll be back at you soon. Until then, happy trades.
All right, let's unjoin.
Two Bulls in a China Shop is an entertainment program, and all thoughts and opinions expressed in the show belong to the hosts and not of any company. They are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual or on any specific security or investment product. It is only intended to provide entertainment about stocks and the financial industry of trading. If you make trades based on what you hear in this show, you assume all risks for those trades.